Okay, so Super Bowl opening night is in the books, and things certainly got a little crazy for the Eagles. However, the bigger story from yesterday has to do with one of the Birds' crucial defensive players, as they just got a major update on him, signaling that his days in Philly could be numbered. But with that news also comes a huge opportunity for the Eagles to go out and make their next blockbuster move, so let's break it all down. Also, we just got some wild developments on the whole Kellen Moore to the Saints situation, and that includes finding out who the potential favorite is to replace him. And it's probably not who Philly fans were hoping for, so we're going to talk about that and all the other Eagles news from Super Bowl week starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And it was 7 years ago today that us Eagles fans got to witness something special, as for the first time in the Super Bowl era, Philly was on top of the NFL world. As against all odds, Nick Foles and that group of underdogs took down the greatest quarterback of all time and the NFL's biggest dynasty in Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in what was just one of the greatest games in football history. And the Philadelphia Eagles were crowned Super Bowl champions for the first time ever. And now, fast forward to today, and the Birds are looking to do a very similar thing, and that is win the Super Bowl while taking down an all-time quarterback and the NFL's current dynasty in Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are of course looking for the first ever three-peat in NFL history. So hopefully, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are able to play the hero and stop the Chiefs' historic run. Speaking of which, last night was the annual Super Bowl opening night in which the Eagles and Chiefs addressed the media on a mass scale, and as per usual, things were very different and pretty crazy, to say the least. I mean, there was just so much going on, from a guy asking Jalen Hurts for tips on how to be more handsome.
Man, I don't know if I can help you on that one. That sounds like a DNA thing.
To questions about how many Krabby Patties guys think they could eat.
I'm not eating no Krabby Patty.
To Chad Ochocinco sneaking up on Nick Sirianni and kissing him on the head. The Jameis Winston throwing W's at guys. I mean, again, as always, it was truly a weird night of activities. That said, even with all the crazy media and distractions that come with Super Bowl week, based on some comments from several of the guys, it sounds like the team is doing a good job of staying focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, you gotta be able to finish. You gotta be able to finish, and that's gonna take great focus. Great week of prep this week, putting it all together.
You know, it's nice for the theatrics and the celebration and everything, but we're really here with a mission on our mind. You can feel the energy in this room is pulsing, and, you know, we're just ready to get out there.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of got to go in knowing that it's part of the job description to be here for the Super Bowl. You know, this is a business trip for us first and foremost, so, you know, it's just kind of just an obligation of the job, right? So. We're here, you know, check this off and then move on to tomorrow and get back to practicing.
So you love to hear that the guys are keeping their focus, because at the end of the day, it is a business trip, and the Eagles obviously have an enormous goal in front of them, as they can of course do what they failed to do 2 years ago and take down this Chiefs dynasty. And the good news is that the Eagles aren't going to have to deal with one of the big issues they ran into last time around. As opposed to the field in Arizona for Super Bowl 57, this field in New Orleans is synthetic turf, so there shouldn't be guys slipping all over the place like there were in that game. So in that sense, that's definitely good news for both sides, but I think for the Eagles in particular, it's really important because we saw just how much the slippery field negatively impacted the Birds' pass rush last time, and how much that impacted how the game went. So that's not going to be an issue this go-around, and like I talked about yesterday, I think the Eagles' ability to pressure and sack Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of the keys to helping them win this game. So again, the fact that the field isn't going to be a slip and slide this time around is super important. That said, this is also a field where the 5th most injuries per game happen across the league, so assuming that that has something to do with the playing surface itself, that's definitely not great. But that said, at least the guys have already played here once this season, so they kind of know what to expect already, and they also have a couple guys who used to call this stadium home, with the headliner being Zack Baun. And man, what a story it is for him to return back to the place that he started his NFL career and play in the biggest game of his life after the journey that he went on this year. I mean, Baun left New Orleans a special teamer and a rotational edge rusher and came back as an all-pro linebacker, a Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and one of the best players on a Super Bowl team. And now he has a chance to see everything come full circle and win it all in the place where it all started. I mean, again, what a story it is, and I really don't think anybody could have put it better than Vaughn's former teammate Jameis Winston did on Super Bowl opening night.
Funny guy, oh my God. That's Jameis. That's Jameis Winston.
Yes! Zack Baun, Jameis Winston, Fox Sports.
Good to see you, brother.
I'm so proud of you. Come and ask these questions. I gotta work. Look how good the Lord works.
Wow.
You started here in New Orleans, and now He brings you back here on this day. One of the biggest days that we dreamed of, brother. We talked about this moment together, cherishing it together. But you get to cherish it here with your family, bro. Man, talk about how much success you had by just being back home to where you've been playing your entire life.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's special, man. And we had so many conversations about what our future would hold being free agents, but just being somewhere who wanted you and being in the environment, how much the environment impacts you, it's really cool.
You gotta love Jameis, man. And he's right. I mean, look at the opportunity the Lord has given Baun specifically. Like, it's just perfect. And hopefully him and also CJ Gardner-Johnson can get their first ever Super Bowl wins in the city they were drafted to. Speaking of New Orleans, though, that brings me to the latest update on the whole Kellen Moore situation, as of course, the Eagles OC is the clear favorite to land the Saints head coaching job after the Super Bowl. However, you have to wonder if a new shocking development could change things, as yesterday, reports came out about a whole scandal involving Saints ownership, as apparently back in 2018-19, they helped run damage control and went to great lengths to help the New Orleans Catholic Church cover up abuse of children within the church by Catholic priests. Now, the Saints apparently gave a lengthy statement last week where they kind of refuted things and said, quote, "No member of the Saints organization condones or wants to cover up the abuse that occurred in the Archdiocese of New Orleans. That abuse occurred is a terrible fact." But even with that, there's still no doubt that this is a pretty terrible look for the Saints organization, to say the least. And look, there's a whole lot to unpack with these allegations and a bunch of details that I'm not going to get into here, so I'll put a link to the article down in the description if you do want to check it out. But coming back to Kellen Moore and the Eagles, you do have to wonder if this could affect his decision regarding the Saints head coaching job, because that's a really tough situation to be coming into as a first-year head coach, with just all those allegations swirling, and also with the fact that the Saints aren't exactly in a good position to win right now either. That said, based on some comments from Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show, it seems like Moore still is going to end up taking the job, barring a setback. But that said, then the question becomes, well, is this Saints scandal the setback that is needed for Moore to reject the job? I guess maybe, but it really doesn't seem that way, just considering that Schefter made these comments after those allegations had already come out, and also just based on what Kellen Moore said last night.
The Superdome, this stadium's pretty cool. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I like it.
Good. Kellen Moore, saying what he could say.
I don't know, that just seems like a little bit of hint, wink, wink there for Moore, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out to know for sure. Still, though, it seems like Moore is likely going to be gone, so the Eagles have been preparing for life after him. And it seems that one of the early favorites for the new OC job is already emerging, and unfortunately, it's not someone who a lot of us were hoping for. As on a recent episode of the Anthony Gargano show on PHLY Sports, NFL insider Mike Garafolo revealed that the Eagles passing game coordinator and associate head coach Kevin Patullo could be a strong candidate to replace Moore. Which, I don't know about you, but that just gives me flashbacks to Brian Johnson, considering the fact that Patullo would be an internal promotion like Johnson was. He also offers no OC or play calling experience like Johnson did, and he also has been Nick Sirianni's right-hand man since he got here in 2021, so I feel like instead of getting a new offense like we did this year with Moore, we could just go right back to the simplistic, predictable Sirianni offense that we saw in 2023. So personally, I want no parts of Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, just being honest. That said, he did have a whole year to take in concepts and ideas from Kellen Moore, and Garafolo did say that Patullo was a guy who was largely in charge of helping mesh Kellen Moore's new offense and the Eagles' old offense this season, so maybe I'm overreacting and he'd do fine as an OC, but personally, I don't know, I just get a bad feeling about this, so I really would not like to see Patullo promoted, but what do you guys think? But now, moving on, the Eagles also just got some news yesterday on a crucial defensive player and pending free agent, as according to Adam Schefter, standout edge rusher and sack leader Josh Sweat changed agents and hired one of the top guys in the business in Drew Rosenhaus and also Ryan Matha. And in regards to Sweat, Rosenhaus said, quote, "He clearly is one of the very top free agents." So that move to me clearly signals that Sweat is trying to cash in the best he can on free agency. I mean, he was the sack leader on the Eagles this year with 8 in the regular season, and he's been a very good player for a long time, and this is probably Sweat's best opportunity and possibly only opportunity to get paid a big long-term extension, especially since he will turn 28 this March, so it only makes sense that he really wants to try and get as much as possible in free agency. Unfortunately, though, it feels to me that that probably won't be with the Eagles. As if you'll remember, they were seemingly pretty close to moving on from him this past offseason, and I just have a hard time imagining that the Birds would shell out what it takes to outbid other teams to retain Sweat's services. So it seems like Super Bowl 59 could be Josh Sweat's final game as an Eagle, so hopefully he balls out and can make a big impact, and he gets sent off the right way with a Super Bowl ring. All that said, if Sweat does in fact sign elsewhere this offseason, his departure could potentially trigger the Eagles' next huge move. as yesterday all the buzz around the NFL and even among Eagles fans was regarding superstar edge rusher Myles Garrett and his trade request from the Cleveland Browns, as Philly seems to be one of the early favorites to land him this offseason. And this news on Sweat, I feel like, only makes that more likely as it creates a clear need at the edge rusher position. So what better player to fill that void than Myles Garrett, who is one of the best players in the entire league and has already made it clear in the past that he would love to play for Philly. Now obviously, it would take a lot of draft capital to get a deal done, and there could also be some other really good but cheaper options in free agency or the draft, of course, but I do think that this is something worth monitoring as we get ready to transition into the offseason. But first, we obviously got a big game to play with Super Bowl 59 right around the corner, and the good news is that it seems that the Birds are pretty much fully healthy heading in, as BG continued to make it seem like he will play last night, while Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson both seem to be feeling a lot better and will play, and even Kenny Gainwell, who was still in concussion protocol, was walking around in the crowded, noisy, flashy Superdome during media night, so it seems like he's going to play too. And you guys already know that I'm going to be continuing to cover all the news leading into the big game, so if you don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to 600 likes on today's video. And also, leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video, and if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
How have you grown this year spiritually and your faith in Jesus? I think my faith has always been a part of me, where I've always wanted to root myself in that and keep him in the center of my life and everything that I do. And so, you know, through the highs and the lows, he's greater than all of them, and that's something that I can always acknowledge. And in the failed clutch of circumstance, I can always lean on and remember. And so that's something that we all should probably take note of and take lesson of.